again. This is week number 6, class number 6. We're approaching the halfway point of the semester. Next week would be week 7, and that will be like the last segment for the first half of the semester, as I mentioned earlier. And we'll prepare for the following, the latter half of the semester, and that'll be the break week after as well. Week 8 is a break week. We call it a 7-1-7 system. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier. We have classes for 7 weeks, then we take a break in between, and then we come back for another fresh set of 7 weeks. So that's going to happen really soon, and time is going fast as always. We just have to capitalize on the matter and work hard and get things done. So keep up the good work. I think everyone is in good standings in this class, and let's keep it going strong. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll see what's on the agenda for today. As always, I'm going to ask you if you can see my screen. Just simply give me a thumbs up, and you guys can see my monitor here. Okay, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Very good. All right. So this is class number 6. It's called Advanced Fills. I know we covered this a bit in the UX UI exercise we did last week. We covered all kinds of different methods of approaching a wireframe, a UI kit, things like you might want to do in Illustrator. I know there's other software out there that can do these things, but once you understand Illustrator, the way we're learning it here, you can really, really take advantage of the powerful tools Illustrator have and do lots of those things. Not only execute in terms of getting it done, but faster, better, like you got way more advanced drawing tools than you would in possibly having Figma or even XD and other programs, even Photoshop. Photoshop's a digital imaging software. It's not a drawing software. Like the stuff you can do in Illustrator, it doesn't compare anywhere else. All right, so that leads us to this advanced fills assignment. It's called Sun Gradient 1. Once you do this assignment with me today, going to be that much more proficient in using the program, not only drawing the stuff that we've done in the past weeks, from logos to other things, but also controlling gradients and more advanced blending techniques. So without further ado, let's go ahead and download this file right here. It's called sungradient1.ai. This is visible now, so you can kind of have it there. Next week, we'll have an overall review. I'm going to teach you some more advanced fills, okay? Gotta get rid of these broken links though for next week. And yeah, so we're gonna do that one for next week. So we'll have some really, really fun classes today and next week, and we're gonna wrap it up. This Wednesday, I will be there in person as always. I will actually maybe do a little review on some other matters and some other questions if you have. So make sure make sure you show up and you're there. For now, I'm going to ask you to download this file and follow me along. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to save it on my desktop here. This is a prepared file for you already. It's called Sun Gradients, and it's got the bracket 1. This is an original file that we use for the digital illustration class for students to learn not only how to do gradients, but how to actually execute a proper illustration from tracing it. So literally you can go to, grab any image or any illustration that you've done by hand, or you've done by, a sketch or another drawing of some kind, and you can go ahead and just reproduce it. So basically, this is the gradient here. This is the original image, right? We can see this image is like a photograph. It's not a vector file. Our job is to recreate this illustration here and make it look like vector, as we're going to do it on the right side. It looks like it's already kind of started for you, which is good for you to understand the approach. I will do this from scratch with you this morning and teach you all the different approach techniques to get this done. How would you draw something like this, right? Whether it's lifelike or whether it's more like an illustration, it's the same thing. It's just a matter of how much detail you would like to add to the illustration. Now, if you remember this here, if I press Command Y, you can see right through it, Control Y, as we've done in the past. This also should help you with the final project for this class, which is the Illustrator banner. And I know sometimes these banners could be pretty highly detailed and or a level of detail with the illustrations. So I was hoping this can help you achieve that type of execution on your end, so you can draw better, more advanced drawing techniques, not just simple abstract designs like sometimes I see from other students. So with this class, the intention is to make you that much more proficient in drawing and executing these high-level detailed illustrations. So like I said, just follow me along and we're going to do this right now. This is for those of you that get stuck in the first part. I kind of gave you a head start. I think students sometimes show up late and I said, just let's redo this. But I will redo this stuff and just totally delete everything here and start from the beginning. To do that also, I need to access the layers panel. Now, to access the layers panel, you go to the Windows menu bar and you look for the layers, and the layers are located right there. The shortcut is F7. This will pretty much open this tab right here. This is the layers tab. The way this whole thing was set up, I've done this in other classes where you place a template, same as the letter S. We made it a template. We made another layer on top from here, and we just simply traced it on top of that one. So this is the actual drawing layer. It's called drawing. And this is the template layer. So it's all set up for you. All I want you to do is simply select this layer here. I think I locked this one. So I'm just going to go unlock Eclipse. Just going to unlock this because this one's locked. This one isn't, but I want to delete everything. So I'm just going to ask you to unlock, delete, and delete. So basically we're doing this right from scratch. This is just a replica of what it will look like an actual guide. Sometimes you don't even have this, you just have this, and that's okay too. You can take any illustration and just recreate it using this method. So the whole point of doing this is to produce anything that you like. This is in the background. So the way you place an illustration like this, just to show you how the setup phase is, we'll jump back into this one in a moment. Let me just create a new document to show you how to approach this, because you might obviously get a different illustration. So let's go in online and get a different drawing of some kind. So black and white illustration. Okay. So it could be anything, any one of these, right? Anything. And you can basically recreate it. Let's say we're going with this flying piggy kind of funny illustration. Actually, that might be a good little Illustrator banner. What do you guys think? I just gave you an idea. Right click, save image as on the desktop. Flying piggy. I love doing things spontaneously like this, and it keeps my job more exciting and interesting. And then we simply create a new document in Illustrator, because the approach is the same. Doesn't matter what theme you choose. We're still doing the same things. You can draw anything, something technical, geometrical, organic, lifelike, any type of illustration you desire. So in this case, I got that piggy I just found. We're going to go set up our banner size, let's say, for this project. So we're going to go, I believe it's 700 by 500 pixels. Now, keep in mind, you're doing this in a vector program. So these pixels are just a good way to start. You can always scale them higher and a greater amount to get a bigger result. So 700, 500. Okay, there's my artboard. And again, I'm just going to set this up like this so you know how to approach this tracing, method. So I will now grab the image that I saved onto my desktop and place it here in a way that you'll be doing the same thing when you have an illustration. So to do that, you go to File, okay, and you select Place. Now the shortcut is Command-Shift-P or Control-Shift-P. You can copy and paste as well, okay? I just like to do it properly because you go Place. The thing is, when you do this, you can make it a template. So you can even select a template here as an option as you place it. If you forget, you can always make it a template from the layer panel as well. But this is a good way to kind of keep track of all these things I'm showing you. Okay. Now the template's automatically locked in a layer, and you can start it as you see it. The problem is the template is never always correct with the dimensions. So I would have to perhaps unlock it and resize it or scale it down to my target goal here like this. And then I'll lock it back up again and then go to layer 1 and start my tracing, okay? Start tracing this. If you didn't do this little thing that I showed you, let's just say you were to do it again, 700, 500, because a lot of people forget. They forget to do the template, and then they're like, why is it, not locked, and why is it doesn't look like yours? So this is the common mistake I get from people. They go File, Place, they click on the template, but they have this, they forgot to leave this on. So the thing is, you can either have nothing checked on or just have the template on for the purpose of making a template. But let's just say you forget everything and you just leave this on. But default, this is what you'll get. This is your default place image in Illustrator. So when you do that, you got to draw the image. There it is. Now this is a floating image that's Illustrator relies on from your desktop. So you want to like embed this. You want this image to become part of the program, because later if it's missing, you might just lose the picture somewhere if you didn't if you relocate it from the desktop somewhere else or a different file location. So you just make sure you embed it. Better yet, when you place this image, I'm gonna go File, Place again. Make sure the link is disabled, okay? And then you have the image like that. Now to set up a template from scratch, you go to your layers panel and you double click on this layer over here somewhere, and you can make it a template from here and call it templates. Okay, so that's another way to do it if you forgot to do the little checkbox like I showed you earlier. Then of course you need to proceed to create a new layer, and this layer 2 is where you start tracing the piggy. So I just showed you like 2 different ways of doing this, not to confuse you. I did it to show you the most common things I get, or the way people approach it. So 30% of you might do this, the other 30% of you might do that, and the rest of you will do the latter. So just be careful whichever way. I want you to have an exit strategy and a solution for the approach. Okay? So just when you place, be consciously aware of what you're doing. Is it a template? Let's check the template on. Are we the layers? Do we have the layer properly selected? Do we have the drawing layer set up? Do we have the template layer? Is it locked? Because it should be, right? If it's not, you can always unlock it, resize the picture, relock it again, go back to layer 1, start your drawing. When you start your drawing like this is all pen tool stuff. So I would approach something like this in different objects. So here's my pen tool, right? I'm going to start with black and white. I'll press D for default. I'll take off the white fill to become no fill. And I'll make the stroke, instead of black, I'll make it like red, because red will really stand out on top of my my black, or the gray outline here. So I have a red stroke with no fill, okay? And I have the pen tool selected, which means I'm going to go over here like that. I'm going to hold Option just to make this a little smaller. Go like this here, all the way. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because no one's going to judge you based on this design, because it's your illustration that you picked. You can just use it as a base, right? So there's the ear. So you have to segment this in parts. You can't just do a big outline. It just doesn't work like that. I mean, it does, but it's a different approach altogether. So let's just do the parts here. So if it's something more lifelike like this, you can do it. Now watch how I'm going to treat this part. I'm going to go underneath here purposely and just lock it like that. Because the head's going to be on top of this part of the ear. So it'll be an easy way to kind of move the object back and forth. I'll move the head part now. I'm just clicking and dragging the mouse, really, right? So I'll do it in parts: the ears, the head, then the nose, right? The actual the nostrils and stuff, and the hoofs. Now notice how I'm just kind of tracing over the same part. Sometimes you have to do that in order to kind of segment the extra piece that's there, right? And then you do the levels of detail, right? Then you would do pretty much this part here. So you're not doing this part, you're just watching me. This is more like an educational approach or a comparison to what I'm doing next. And then we'll show you the way this works as well. I've never drawn a flying pig before, just for the record. This is my first time. There's always a first time for everything, right? I'm just doing those little details like that to the way I think it might look like, and then we'll, you know, take it from there. There's another one over here. This one I'm just gonna overlap everywhere. Right, and I can go as detailed as I like, but you can see here how just by doing a few things here and there, you can actually go ahead and get all those important parts in there. Just gonna hold the command click, select, deselect. So it's all pen tool for this one. I can drag the mouse. I'm clicking and dragging. That's all I'm doing here. Okay. And these little details, same thing again. You can just go like this. I should do this with an outline mode selector. Just kind of winging it this way. And I'm kind of rushing it too. I don't want to spend. I would probably do this at half speed and do a lot more accurate and detailed type of illustration. But this one is fairly easy enough. Make it a happy piggy. There we go. And then, of course, the other details, I'll just do maybe one more. I'm not going to get too overly carried away here with the details because I do want to start the other exercise as well. But I want to show you both because you might do something more illustrated, something more lifelike. This is more or less like a real, could be a real pig, um, you know, from a photograph. Could be an illustration. Doesn't matter. You can still make it happen, right? And then you know, take it from there. You change your colors. This can become like an actual fill right now. So you can go ahead and pick this color here. For this one, I'll do the mesh tool perhaps maybe, which I'll show you next week how to do the mesh tool. Maybe I'll do a simple gradients. I can do different blends, right? Let me take out the red fill for a second. If I do like a gradient tool, let's just say I do something like this. Oh, let me switch the gradient tool first, right? This radial tool won't look good, so I will have to linear method of gradient. This is linear. This is more radial, right? So you can kind of pick. This is the new one, actually. This new one might work well. It's called points. Points means you can choose different points of gradients. So perhaps this one I'll put here. This one I'll put here. This one I'm going to put over here. I can add another one. To delete a point, I guess you drag it away. You can always expand it. Just press delete. That's how I deleted one. This is actually not bad. So you can just click on different points and they automatically spread the color to the area. Now to change the color of these points, and again, I'm in the gradient tool here. And instead of selecting a linear gradient, radial gradient, or this new one, it's called freedom object gradient. Okay. Now it resets when you do it again and again. I'm just showing you how to go from back and forth. Let's go with 3 points for now. This one, if I double click on it, also access the color palette, and then we'll select this pinkish color, and perhaps even maybe I'll do with a white, maybe a pinkish white. I can always go to a custom swatch and do a slight pink type of application here like this. Just mix my colors up. Then for this one, I'm gonna double click and pick the, more like a darker color. And this one, I'll go straight to the actual swatches and pick one of these. And go back to my sliders and control the difference. Okay. And then, of course, change these outlines to, instead of red, I'll change them to black. So I'm just going to select all these except the head and change these to just a black outline. The black fill, I should say, looks like an outline though. I'll make this stroke 0. And this, I'm gonna just use the eyedropper tool and match the same kind of gradients. Right. So with my level of detail, when I finish this, it will look somewhat more, realistic or lifelike. I can always change the colors around. You're gonna obviously invest some time making this a little more, better detail oriented. So when you finish this, it'll look nice. Same as the ears. Simply you just use the gradient tool. I'm using the gradient tool match, right? So it's not a bad little method, that gradients, the new gradient. This is a new one. It came out, I guess, a few years ago. Freeform object tool. But before we get there, I'm going to show you the traditional gradients with the other exercise, and then hopefully you'll get a little more acquainted with that, and you can definitely approach it this way and pretty much make anything out of anything. Okay, so I'm going to just save this. We'll call it the Flying Piggy. All right. Maybe we'll continue another time. Maybe I'll finish this on Wednesday with you in class. Okay. I'll just go over some of the funny details and we'll get it done. But let's turn at the exercise at hand. I showed you how I approached that illustration from scratch. Didn't even plan it. I went online. I typed in, black and white illustration, and the first thing that caught my attention was a flying piggy. So I saved it and I showed you how to start right from scratch. And of course, we'll do the backgrounds and so on and so forth. But this is already pre-made for you. So just delete this part and let's do this now so you can better acquaint yourself with these gradients, objects, orientation, grouping. It's like more like an overall review plus a lot more to learn from. Okay. So let me just see your hands of let me just see a list of hands of who wants to do this with me, and so you guys are on point and everything's going well so far. And my recording is still on because sometimes it does get interrupted. Alrighty here. All right, how everyone's good. I got the rest of the students in there as well. All right, give me a quick thumbs up to see if everyone's on board. If you guys are good, paying attention. All right. Come on, guys. I need some motivation too, right? You got to give me a little motivation here, right? Give me the give me the energy I need. Coffee doesn't do it sometimes by itself. All right. So let's go ahead and switch my screen over again. So to approach something like this is quite simple. You just have to do a breakdown. So first, this is a bunch of objects. Whether you're doing a more organic design like the little piggy or an animal, could be a human, a face of some kind, right? Same thing. Either way, you break it up into objects. You always start from the back and you work your way to the front. So the very, very back is this big circle that I'm looking at here. And you can see the illustration has this big round circle. So to do that, I'm going to use the elliptical tool, the ellipse tool. I'm going to start from the corner here. Why the corner here? Because that's where this vertical axis meets this horizontal axis. So basically, if you envision an invisible boundary where they meet, which is over here, to open up the grid, you can see it. Even put a guide. Not necessary though. Just do a rough drawing and you can do it. Now, when you first draw a circle, I don't know how I got lucky to get this color here exactly, but it might look like this, like a black and white circle. I'll just press D for default, and I'm just going to make this the same size. Okay, so this circle is basically right on top of the drawing. The color is already saved for this. That's one thing I forgot to mention. So if you go to the swatches, this is already given to you. And there's like folder sets. This is the face. This is the starburst. This is the brown accents, the eyes, the tongue, teeth, and some other accents. These are all the colors that are involved using this illustration. So maybe perhaps you can do is save a bunch of colors like this is saved with your planning process before you begin the illustration. To do that, it's very simple. I'm gonna maybe demonstrate it on the previous exercise I was working with here, the flying piggy, because this one has all the default swatches. So if I want to create my own swatches, I will create my own folder here, right? And I'll call it piggy colors. Okay. The piggy colors will have perhaps this pink. I'm going to move it over here. Okay. I'm going to have this maybe bright pink. I can create my own colors, right? Perhaps this other one here, the darker one, the burgundy pink, all these different pinks. I can even add a new color by simply clicking on the foreground color and picking a different tone like this one. And if I go color swatches or click OK, you can drag the color from here directly to your swatch. It'll end up exactly here. You have to literally drag it with the mouse. So you can kind of keep your colors really concentrated on what you're using it for. Even the black will go here, which means I can select every other color. I'll put this one also. I can select these other colors that I'm not using. Select like with shift. I clicked on this one. With shift, you can go all the way up here. And basically, you can delete those swatches. So you just have the custom swatches that you're working with. And then you can go back and continue drawing and painting different fills. So that's how this was set up. Except this was set up in more folders. You would go, add another folder and call this, head, different parts of the body, maybe the wings, right? So this is for the head, perhaps. Right? And you'd make another folder. So you keep making folders and keep naming them based on the actual order of the colors you're gonna create. Okay. And maybe I'll do another one for the body. The body's gonna have maybe this color here and this color over here, right? And you can, like, again, add as many colors as you wish to your illustration. You can do this while you're doing it too, while you're working at the same time. It's maybe advisable to do it beforehand so it's a little easier to access these colors. Like I said, Wednesday I'll continue with this one and we'll see what we come up with. So back to the sun here, we have the colors already set up, different yellows, oranges, browns, blues, and whites, because if you can see this, that's how the illustration looks like. Another way to get color is using the eyedropper tool. So you can have like a dummy object selected. Let's call this our dummy swatch. And every time you click on the color, right, you can grab this color and drag it to your swatches that way. So this could be another way you can kind of gather your colors. I'll grab this blue, drag the blue over, the black, the yellow, the brown, the other brown, the different tones. So you can just pick your colors first, drag them over here on the right side in your swatches, save them accordingly, and then begin your approach, okay, with doing this part. All right, I think we're ready now. So this looks like a gradient, right, over here. So we'll actually go ahead and select the gradient option. Another reason why I want you to set up your tools, because I still see people doing this. It's like, how the heck are you going to see this part here? It's so small. Even like my MacBook here is like 16 inches. I still can't see this part. So it's better to keep these tools into 2 columns so you can see the whole thing, and click on the gradient in the middle and you set it up like that. All right, now the gradient's going to be a radial gradient, not a linear gradient. Remember, we have the other one too, the free form. We're not going to do that. That's kind of cool and new. I'm sure this one will work well, but I'm going to stick with the basics for now, and I'll use the free form gradient in Wednesday's exercise just to diversify it a bit. And I'm going to go ahead and click and drag the mouse and just make it a nice big gradient like that. When the gradient's fixed, you can move it around. You can control the way the colors blend, because that's what the gradient does. It blends multiple colors. To change the colors, you simply double click here. You can pick your swatches. Let's go back to the, I guess this is the head area. The face, that's right, that's the face. So I guess I'll go with that yellow and this black here at the end. I'm gonna double click on it and change it to this other orange here. That's the face color. So I'm picking the colors by double clicking and selecting different colors this way. All right. If we look over, kind of matches the similar resemblance. Now the trick is here to always toggle between outline mode and preview mode by pressing Command Y, Command Y. View, outline, view, preview. And what you want to do, because this is the big portion of what everything's going to happen in it, is lock it. You want to lock this so it doesn't move on you all the time. It's very frustrating trying to select a group of objects that will make up for the eye, and you will accidentally move this, right? So you want to make sure this is locked once it's created. One way to do that is to right click, right, and just go to lock. It's the selection here. Maybe do it from the menu. Object, lock, selection. I use a shortcut quite a bit. I rarely use the menu for this. But if you want another shortcut, is Command or Control 2. So if you press Control 2, this becomes locked. So you can't really move it until you unlock it, and then you can move it again. You can also unlock all by pressing this ultimate button here to unlock all the objects so you can move them again. But just press Command 2 to lock it so you don't get in the way. So the main approach here is this. You lock, unlock, right? Usually you lock it, you don't have to unlock it till later. And you press Command Y to go right through and see the rest of the parts that you need to create. Okay, that's all. So Command 2, Command 2, Control 2, Control 2. You have to see back and forth what's happening to make this work. Okay, let's go with the eyebrows. We'll start from the top and work our way to the bottom here. The pen tool would be a good tool for this. I'm just going to simply click and drag this little segment here. I'm just going to click and drag the mouse. I'm in outline mode, so I can't really see my fills. It doesn't have to be even that perfect, just as long as it captures this area here. I'll go right over. I grab these. Over. Move this one over. Right. Press Command Y to go back and forth to see what it looks like. Of course, it's going to look like something like this. So this will be perhaps a linear gradient, not a radial gradient, but a linear one. We'll use the gradient tool and just simply swap this to go from the top down like this. And we're going to double click on this one and select the different accent colors. Let me see if we have the accents, teeth, tongue, eyes. Oh, brown. Maybe it's this one too. So we'll go with the brown to the orange. And we'll take out the outline. So we'll just go here and take the black to be no stroke. Just an outline. At the same time, we're going to copy another object behind it, and that looks like an accent that we're just going to color. So we're just going to go copy and paste, Command Y, back and forth. So copy, paste, okay? And that just happens to paste right there in position. That's fine. We're going to paint this with the accents. We'll go with this color, maybe the brighter color, sure. Well, we're going to bring this one to this one's going to be at the front of that one. So we're going to right click, arrange, and we're going to bring it to the front. Bring to front, and simply put it right there. If you press Command Y or Control Y, you can see the positioning of this object. Right? Close enough, right? Close enough. For the other one, I think it's the same thing. We can just select both of these. I'm going to just, that's why I lock this. So it's easier to kind of click and drag the mouse. I'm going to group these together so they're grouped, right? And we're going to option drag them and just make a duplicate. This gets easier over time because every time we do something complex like this, even wait till we get to the eyeball part, is we copy it, flip it, and just scale it. Or you can just recreate it. It's up to you. But this is a lot faster, I think. So we're going to go Command Y again. We're going to flip it the other way. So basically, we can either grab one side and flip it to the other, do like a nice little crossover, because it's very natural, and I'm sure it's going to be okay if we do that. Because you're going to go ahead and scale it as well. Press Command Y. Put it right there. Perhaps we're going to scale this a lot smaller. I'm going to rotate it slightly this way. Like that. Okay. I'm just rotating it, relocating it, resizing it, and things like that. You can see here how both of them are on position well ahead of this. This is just for comparison purposes. All right. Now it's time to do the more complex things like the eyeballs part. So if I zoom in, all this is a bunch of circles, and the orientation is like this. You start from the back, and you move your way to the very front. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We're going to start with the bigger circle first. I'll use the elliptical tool. I'm going to go from here to there and use the selection tool to trace it properly. This is going to be, I think, an accent mix. So I'm going to press Command Y. We're going to go ahead and use a radial accent mix from top to bottom. Let's see if it gets lighter. So it's darker orange to the whiter orange. So perhaps we're going to go to use these two colors here. Right. I'm going to pick a brighter yellow for this one. Even a white. So that's going to hold all the other elements in there. So just have a linear gradient from orange to white. I'm going to press Command or Control Y. Leave that alone and draw another circle. So this one's going to go the smaller circle, the one that's kind of inside this bigger one. So from bigger to smaller. Always remember that. It's a lot easier than going from the details out to the back, because then you'll spend half the time doing arrangement of objects, send to back, bring to front, that kind of stuff. Whereas now you just go bring to front as you work your way forward. I'm going to go ahead and draw another object here like this. Oh, that one. Wow, just nailed that one. There we go. And that one's going to be just a simple gradient with white and gray. If you notice, this is this longer column here. It's got all the eyes in place. So we're going to go ahead and use the eye gradients. I'm going to use a radial gradient for this one. We're going to go ahead and click and drag the mouse like that. All right, it's even out there. Right? So this one's going to be white, and this one's going to be gray. And we're going to really, really stretch this out like this, right to the end. So it's got a nice little pop feel to it, right? So it looks like an actual three-dimensional eyeball. Very similar techniques we did for the UI kit when you make those 3D looking buttons, the eye candy stuff. So gradients really play a key role to making this happen. Otherwise, it looks too flat. All right, working away here now, we're going to go to the smaller circles, the one over here. So for that one, I'm switching Command Y, back and forth. Trust me, when you do this exercise and you invest like the 2-3 hours that you should, you're gonna get that much more better with working with the software. This is like the big learning curve. So if you still struggle with Illustrator, it's kind of too much for you to grasp. Just trust me on this one. Once you pass this exercise here, your learning curve will really elevate, and you're gonna feel that much more comfortable with it. Just from experience, that's what I notice for most people. And then especially when you do next week and the week after, by the time we finish this um, Illustrator segments, you will feel that much more better just by learning this program more and more. So just, always keep trying and always do the work I'm asking you to do, because you won't learn it if you don't try it, right? Just like anything else, compared to like math and other subjects, the same thing. All right, let's see how this next one is. I'm just using it for reference. That's the blue one. So the blue gradient, then we'll have the black circle with the white accents on top. So this will be the blue gradient. I'm going to use the elliptical tool. Simply do one of these. Right? You can just resize it. Doesn't matter if it's perfect or not. Use the arrow keys on the keyboard, left, right, up, and down. Command Y. Okay, and this is going to be the blue one. This is the blue colors already given to me. I'm going to go with the gradient tool. And we're just going to go, this will be the light blue, and this will be the dark blue, I'm assuming. Okay. You can control how they blend more or less. Like that. Control the gradient. Okay. And then we have the accents on top. And the accents on top will go right where they're supposed to. I'm just gonna again press Control Y and do this other little circle here. I'll press D for default, which is the black and the white gradient, and I'm gonna go ahead and draw a nice little circle here like this. Switch these around so I have the black fill and the white stroke becomes 0. Then we have this exact placement. And these are the white circles. I'm just going to go ahead and trace those like that. Changes to, wait, I'll do it after so you can see it. Press Command Y again. And these two little circles that I created will simply have the white accent color. And pretty much you have the eyeball created. It's just a bunch of steps, really, right? Just a bunch of objects overlapping each other. That's all it is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I didn't really draw, I didn't even use the pen tool for this. I just used a bunch of elliptical selections. When it's all said and done, I'm going to select all of these. I'm going to right click and group them together. So it's like a group. This way I don't have to redo it again for the other side. All I have to do is basically hold Option or Alt, drag it over here, press Command Y, and resize it smaller. And just put it in the right position here. Using my direction keys. There we go. Command Y. Right. Comparing it back and forth, I think we're on track. Those are the most complex elements I can think of, except the mouth looks pretty complicated too. I'll get into that in a moment here. The nose is pretty simple, just a circle with a gradient on it. Another circle, a lot of circles in this illustration. Right, there we go. And for that, we'll do, where's the nose? Is there a nose gradient here? I think it's the accents. We'll just do this. We'll use the eyedropper and just copy the sun. The head part is basically recreate this like that. Take out the black outline. Right? And maybe perhaps mix the colors a little better. Being a little disobedient. Oh, there we go. Okay, I got to double click this way. And then I'll get the darker colors going. There we go. All right. So it looks a little different than the head gradients. So it stands out a bit more. Alrighty. The mouth part is a little more tricky. So we're going to just move this around. Just move your palettes around to a comfortable position so you can execute better. So Command Y, back and forth. This is the tricky one because you have to create this elliptical or half ellipse shape, similar to that robot android exercise we did a few weeks ago. So we're going to go ahead and just trace this over like that with the pen tool. Okay. And go pen tool this way, pen tool that way. Click in the middle, click and drag the mouse all the way up like that. If you have to fix it, hold the Option key and you can always adjust your anchor points like that. Deselect, reselect. There's your half moon shape with the mouth. We're going to go use the same accents. Where's the mouth here? This is, oh, there we go. The brown tongue, teeth, accents. Perhaps it's the brown segments of the color palette. We're going to use the eyedropper tool. Sorry, the gradient tool. We're going to swipe it down like this. I'll change this to a linear gradient now, just by doing it this way. And I'm going to double click on this yellow color here and make it the brown one. All right, the brown accents. And this one's going to be the other one here. It's like the brown accents I'm using for this. So it looks a little more, it's got more contrast and you can basically see the details better. All right, so this is that gradient. Press Command Y again, back and forth, Command Y. These are the teeth accents. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that with the pen tool also. Just start from here, perhaps. Halfway, click and drag the mouse. You can always use the arrow keys while you're drawing, right? Like that. You can just perfect it. Be careful when you do that. You have to sometimes reconfigure this point. And then you go click and drag and just click. Like this. Click and go all the way across. Okay. And this is going to be the white fill, I guess. It's got a little bit of a white with the accent color gray. So we're going to go use a gradient application for that one as well. We're going to probably go from here to there. This will be the gray, and this will be the white. It's got some kind of a nice blend of accents going around like that. Right? And if it's a little off in terms of the positioning, you can always reposition it like that, or you can move the anchor points back and forth. Okay. Yeah, the other details are simply just drawing the stuff there. This could be tricky too, like the mouth parts, because you do have it looks like gumballs there. So we're gonna perhaps draw them and then use a clipping mask. We're gonna convert a clipping mask out of this, and that'll be a good review how to do that part. Clipping masks will help you when it comes to isolating certain parts of the illustration. So for that, I'm going to use the elliptical tool. I'm going to go ahead and draw the circle here like this, right? I believe we do have a tongue. This is called the tongue colors here. Let's see what they look like. So it looks like a simple a linear gradient for this one here. We're going to use the linear gradient, swipe it from left to right, I guess. And we can change this color to the darker one and this color here to the lighter one. So you have the two colors of the linear gradient. Be careful not to click twice when you do that. So we do have like the linear gradients done. And simply we just go Option drag to copy the other one as well. Like that. Okay. And I think this one is on top of the other one. This one's on top of that one. So we'll just bring this one here, right click arrange, and we're gonna bring this to the very front. Bring to front, so you do have it like that. And lastly, we're gonna clip them all the way around, and we don't want these parts, so we're gonna go copy this. So copy, copy. If I do paste, it's gonna paste in the middle like that. So you don't want to just paste. You want to Command V is paste. But if you press Command F, is paste in front. Command or Control F. Edit, paste in front. Command F. I love this one because it also pastes it in place. So in place, in front. So now you have a copy of that one in front of exact position. Then I'm going to select all these parts as well, the two circles and the mouth. I'm going to right click and make a clipping mask. And that's going to basically clip those circles perfectly into that area. A very clever way to execute that. I wanted to show you. That's why I like this technical drawing exercise. It's covers everything: clipping masks, gradients, colors, swatches, orientation, grouping, transforming, everything you've learned so far in a more advanced form, because now you can really execute on level of details. Okay. And if you give me anything that I can look at, I can probably recreate. When it comes to the metallics and other more advanced features, it just adds more colors. And next week, like I said, I'll cover another um, more advanced even than this. But this is pretty good. If you can do this, you can do many things. But I'll show you one more technique, of course. As illustrators, this is the pinnacle of all the programs for drawing. All right, so we have more accents here. These are the little details. Just like I did with the piggy, sometimes you have to just recreate these little shapes to match the little accents on the sides, right? What color these are? It's like a yellow and a orange. So maybe we'll use the yellow color, right? And then we'll have another one on the other side. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab that. Option drag, and just rotate. If that works for you, that's fine. And just rotate it like this. Use the arrow keys to put it in place. If you notice, there was another copy of an orange one. So basically, you can do copy, paste in front, do like a little offset, right? And the one underneath it, like this other one here, they will paint it like the orange color. So you have like two of them there like that. I don't think this is necessary, but just to kind of give you all the levels of detail that are included, right? And again, you don't have to go all out like that, but it's just to show you all the different parts and elements that are included. Of course, the little freckles there, the orange freckles, we'll add those as well. We definitely add more to the illustration. So we're going to go ahead and just make those accents exist with that color. I think they have an opacity as well. So I'm just going to copy it here, option drag. Maybe I'll just option drag this one. Option drag that one. Oh, they're darker. So we're going to go with the darker opacity there. I'm going to switch them up on the other side. Just going to resize it back and forth. Command Y, option drag. And these are all the same circles. Some look more elliptical than others. Now, if you notice the accents are a little, notice how when I'm grabbing this, I can't grab it here because I'm in outline mode. Just remember you have to grab it from the center. Only then you can select it or option drag to copy it. It's very difficult to select objects in this mode. So those are the little tricks you gotta remember. Grab it from here or grab it from here. Never from here because you get to resize it. So you can grab it from the edge or from the center to reposition it while you're in this mode. And you can just hit Command Y back and forth to see if you're on point. I'm going to select all these, I guess we'll call them the freckles, the details in the face. We're going to apply an opacity up here. You have 100%. If I minimize it to like maybe 50% or 27%, you can see the opacity of how that will work as well. So it's all the little details that make up this illustration work like the way it does. Alrighty, I think we're ready to execute the last step, and that's the radials in the background, and that's going to be the big part. Let me unlock the circle first in the head. Maybe I'll do it at the end actually. We can see everything we created here was from scratch. The approach was you work your way from the back and you come to the front, like the larger objects you start with. I would never start, let's say, at the freckles. Like, notice how that's the last thing I did. Like all these little accents, it's the last thing I did because they're the easiest. You save that for later. You do all the hard parts first, all the larger elements. Like I started with the head, then the eyebrows, and the eyes, and then the nose, the mouth. That's what you want to do. So everything is basically done separately. Do you have to group everything? No, not really. But if you makes it easier, then sure, you can go ahead and make this a selection and just right click. You can hit group, right? So the mouth is grouped basically, right? The nose is grouped, the eyes are grouped. So you can group things eventually. So you have better control. For this, I'm not going to get too finicky. I'll just do the like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 rays into 360 is 36 degrees, just like we did in the other class. We did a lot of these rotation or logo challenges. I'm going to go ahead and do the same approach here. Right? Whatever gradient this is. I'm going to send this to the, well, I'll just leave it here for now. I'm going to press Command Y because the center of the circle is here. Every object has a center reference when you're in Command Y mode. That's why Command Y exists. The center of this is here. The center of this is there. The center of these are over here. All the center points show up. They're very tiny, but they're there. But the main emphasis is the center here, because this circle that I had drawn in the first place, the center of that is there. So if I rotate this around, it'll be around this center here. So let's go to the rotate tool. Let's hold option and click like we did before. Let's put 36 degrees because 36 times 10 will be 360. So I'm going to hit preview button, so it's going to go that way. That's fine. And I don't really care if they're perfectly aligned at this point because we're just making an illustration. No one's even going to see this. We're just going to showcase the final product. No one's going to see our template that we traced it from. That's for us to know and, discuss and look at. When you create an actual masterpiece, you don't have to show people your sketches. Sometimes you do, depending on the delivery. But I'm going to hit the copy button. So it's copy. Okay. And just press Command D, Command D, Command D. See, it's a little off, but that's okay. And there's my arrays. Right. I'm going to select all my arrays that I created. Or if you want to do each one like that, you can redraw them. It's up to you, but I don't think it's necessary. And we're going to go right-click Arrange and Send to Back. Send to back, and that's how it's going to look like. Then I'm going to unlock this one here. So we're going to go just Object, Unlock All. And this one will have the black outline removed. And group the final product as well. And we have the vector thing recreated, all from scratch, using a black and white tracing technique. And the benefit is, of course, let's discuss the pros and cons about this is when you get pixelated, okay? Pixelated, when you blow it up and stuff, this doesn't have the quality that it does, right? See the pixels? Whereas if you recreate something in vector, it's immaculate, it's perfect. That's what vector files do. And don't forget also it's a machine language. So if you're going to give this to let's say you're doing like a large format print of this, it'll be no problem. Embroidery, all this nice stuff, promotional marketing. If you're doing a website, the SVG files, they're scalable, especially for other like big backgrounds, maybe a logo or something. Vector is the way to go because it's, remember SVG for web, and we have PDF or EPS for print. So you can execute this on many, many levels. All right, I think I covered everything in this very important exercise in class. I'm going to go ahead and save it now. I don't know if all of you were just watching me, probably you were. But after I post this video, I want you to try this at home. You have to try this. I will create an actual challenge for this one. I want you to actually submit this. Although it's not going to be graded, I still want to see your progress. It's like my personal assessment of you. So when you're done this thing, I want you to go file, save as, or save it as an Illustrator file. Okay. So save it as an Illustrator file. It'll be Illustrator. I'll call this 2 because it's the finished version. And also I want you to do file export. Export as or export for web. Let's just do export as. Let me do a JPEG version here on the desktop. Changes to an RGB file format. Right. So this is the JPEG format that we have here. Right. And then we have the Illustrator 2. The reason why this didn't show you is because of the preview. But I want you to upload this version that you did to show me that you guys can do this, just to kind of upload it. Upload it to our discussion group, okay? I should have had you to do more of these in the process, but don't worry, we'll get more active with this discussion group. They always encourage us to do this with the students, just to make sure everyone is on point and paying attention. So to do a discussion group with this, what I need you to do is basically when you go to Illustrator, there's my Illustrator module here. There's your assignments. So under today's lesson, which is called Class 6 Advanced Fills, I'm going to create a discussion. So create. And there it is right here. I'll do this part. You don't have to worry about this here. Discussion. Call it sun gradients exercise. I'm going to make it visible. This will be technical sun exercise. So I encourage all of you to do this one here. And what you do is when you open the portal now, you can see the sun gradient exercise. You click on this, and just to show me your level of participation, I want you to go click on your response time, and you can go ahead and add the attachments and click on your JPEG. So I asked you to make a JPEG because I don't want to see the Illustrator file. You can't preview it properly. Rather than save the JPEG like I showed you under File Export. So the way you save a JPEG from Illustrator, and it still looks nice and immaculate, by the way. It looks flawless because it's created in a vector program. Export, save as, JPEG. Okay, that's how you do it. And then you select this gradient here, open it, and I'm just going to hit save. So when I'm done, I'm going to see all of you participate in this. By Wednesday, I want to see maybe all of you do this. If not, I'll make you do it in the lab, and I'm going to go over the Piggy as well, just to make sure I reiterate some of the important points we're talking about. All right, so far as digital drawing goes, if you can do this, I mean, that really will make you that much better in understanding the software and executing all the digital drawing techniques. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save this now. Try to close. Yeah, that's fine. Should be there if you click on the sun gradient exercise. Oh. I have to hit the respond button. Respond. Otherwise, it won't show it. There we go. Now it's there. So if I close it now and you go to the sun gradients, first there's the exercise here. This is the exercise that we're uploading. So if you click that on that, you can see the result. All right. So up to now, I never got you guys to do this except you submitting some assignments and some other things. But this is now just showing me, it is week 6 after all. I know it takes a few weeks to get into Illustrator. I don't expect you guys to do things right away. But the logos came out nice for most of you. That was really good. So now we're kind of getting to the more detailed illustration stuff. So again, this is not being graded, but it's your assessment of participation. So make sure you put it up there. Okay. And it should be all loaded up for you. Why did I just close my portal here? Double check here if it's all there. Illustrator module, class number 6. All right, so we're approaching the finish line. After next week will be your last class for the Illustrator module. And then after that, we'll take a break, which is week 7. Week 7 is next week. Week 8's our break week. And then we come back in week number 9. And then we start the Photoshop module all ready to go right here for you. And next week will be a fun class as well. We're going to do the gradient mesh tool. I'll be honest with you, not a lot of students use that tool for the project. Some of them did. But what I showed you so far is well enough to get you going with this Illustrator project that you have to do. Just keep in mind, this is the last one. I know you have the UI kit due as well. So if you look at your calendar, just some due dates that are coming up. Okay, so this one's due on the 9th. I gave you till Wednesday to get this done. So if you still have some questions or concerns about the next assignment, the UI kit, okay, so that's due on Wednesday. The application splash banner is like your final, to call it your main exam for this module here for digital illustration. And this is the one you have to put all your efforts into it to make it happen, to create the, the drawing. And today's lesson kind of captured a lot of that detail to how you can do that. Here's the size, 700 by 500. There's all the rubrics and stuff. There's all the technical checklists. So I want to see like the drawing tools, the paint methods, solid colors or gradients, which we covered today. Pathfinder techniques, we've been covering this since week 2, week 3 with logos. Object editing and grouping, that's a given. Layers and sub-objects, of course. Strokes and fills. Proper use of symbols. We did use symbols a bit with the UI kit, but for this one, honestly, it's not really a big deal for this particular one. So those symbols are hit and miss. It's not something that integral if you don't use the symbols. All they are is saving objects and then just dragging them back. Creating outlines when necessary. Proper use of grids and guides. So this one again, and this is a technical drawing. You could use grids and guides, and you could use symbol if you want. Properly packaging the project with fonts and sources. If using typography, we'll cover that next time, how to do that export. All right, maybe I should cover some of these points now so it's all together. So for example, let's do symbols just to make sure you understand how that works. So it's not just kind of thrown at you. Proper use of symbols. So the symbols for this one, let's just say I was doing the sun gradients, right? I would convert the eyes into symbols. And why am I using symbols? You can just reuse them over and over again. So if I go to the symbols library, and symbols is like a library, there it is, symbols right here. Okay. So this will be symbol, we'll call it I. And this will be a symbol too. We'll call this one mouth. And this will be the nose. And by default, they're movie clips. That means if you're going to create another illustration like this one, let's say we're creating something else. Look, it's the moon, everybody. Just using the symbols. I'm repositioning them in position here. I'm going to recreate this illustration a lot easier because I have the symbols done. So that's how symbols could be very, very useful and powerful with doing this. You're just dragging graphics back and forth because you might even do this in a different document or a different artboard, right? Once the symbols are done, you can really, really reuse them and recreate things like this. Okay, so that's why you want to perhaps incorporate symbols just to show me that you know how to utilize them. All you're doing is dragging things back and forth like this. You don't have to necessarily even do this part. Just the fact that I can see the symbols here, what proves to me. Again, I'm not too big on this. It was something that we got, the technical checklist was around for a while. I just left it alone. I'm not going to penalize you if I don't see symbols in your thing. Okay, it's not going to be like that detrimental to your overall, rubric. Okay, so that's not something that's that important. The grid and the guides, I tried doing it on this one. It just was interfering sometimes too. So if you can use the grid and the guides, it's just to help you. Okay, if you want to use the guide like this, just to draw the guide. There's the other guide here. You can draw the guides to help you with the design. It's a personal preference. For doing something illustration, sometimes it doesn't work because it's not, something that technical. But if it's something you have to align things perfectly and you have to, have a certain rule of law with perspectives and stuff, then the guides would help. Okay. So that's something else that I was mentioning in the checklist there, just to make sure I don't miss anything with you. All right. So, symbols, grids and guides, right? Properly packaging the project. This is might be an important thing here I'm going to cover as well. Let's get rid of these guides first because I don't really need them. So I'm going to go and, clear the guides. Okay. the ruler here. I'm going to create a new Illustrator splash banner using this exercise. Let's just go through the packaging process. So let's say this was the project that I'm handing in. Okay, I can't just hand it in like this. This doesn't cover all the proper, delivery. As far as the presentation, I mean, you will get marks for this for sure. I'll give you all the technical stuff you want. But as far as the proper presentation delivery, this has to look like an Illustrator splash banner. Okay, so it's got to look something like this. This is like your visual cue. Not exactly like this, but a similar format. If you're not sure what the Illustrator banners look like, just type in Illustrator splash banner or splash screen. You can see all kinds of different examples how they're presented. You always have the logo, the software copyright, and things like that. I'm going to use this similar format for now, just kind of like get a reference of it. I'm going to save this image onto the desktop. Okay. I'll grab the Illustrator logo. Right? Perhaps you don't have to recreate the logo. You can just use this. Let's, save this image as well to my desktop. And everything else, if you want to get the Creative Cloud logo, right? It's fine. Right? Perhaps you want to use this one. That's okay. So save image. Right. So I got all my elements now. I can recreate the splash banner based out of this illustration. I'll create a new document, just not to mix things up. I'll make it 700 by 500 pixels. Okay. I'm going to go back over here. Grab the whole illustration, group it, copy, paste. And we'll create maybe the banner. You can pick any format. You can have the one that goes down here, over here, but it's gotta look like an actual splash banner. Okay. So for this one, I'll create a nice bounding box on the left side here. It's gonna be like this, a little more than 3/4. I'll go with the darker orange. I'll bring this to the front. Okay, so it's a little overlapping. I will create some background design really quickly. Nothing too detailed, just a simple gradients of back and forth. I'm gonna perhaps use just to make it look like a complete design here, right? I'm gonna go with the very, very light blue, and the dark blue here. This would be a different color. And of course, you can draw the background as well. Your background is also like a technical drawing by itself. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that also. Make it look pretty nice and presentable. Alrighty, I think this is okay for a background for now. Send that to the very back. And this could be, my Illustrator splash banner for 2024. All right. Now make sure if I'm delivering this, it's got to also make sure it's covering all the right information here for the banner. So a lot of things you have to like make up some of the stuff. Some people have some fun and put their names on it and some other elements. This is how the software information is written. So Adobe Creative Cloud Illustrator CC, you just type all this stuff in. Um, one way to simply copy another one here. So file, place, embedded. So just place. I'm thinking Photoshop here. Here's a PNG file of the logo. This you don't have to redraw. Okay, just put the Illustrator file in there. The Illustrator logo I meant with the PNG file. You can write Adobe Illustrator information if you like. For this, you draw a text box. So with the type tool, I'm just gonna lock this so it doesn't move on me. So right click, maybe just Command 2. Remember like we did with the head earlier. This will be an Illustrator. So Adobe Illustrator CC 2024, all rights reserved, and you can do all these kind of nice typography here to make it look like a legitimate software information. Okay. Sometimes they give credits to all the people that partake in the software development, and that can happen also just by simply putting more text information over here. This is going to be a little smaller, of course. I'm just making it smaller by using Command Shift right click on the keyboard here, right? This is where you can have some fun and put your name. Like don't put Lorem Ipsum, put something nice, right? So it looks more legitimate. Then perhaps the Creative Cloud logo can go down here. Let me make this a little bolder. It should stand out nicely, right? I'll put the Creative Cloud over here. So we're going to go File, Place. And this is the Creative Cloud logo. It is an SVG file, believe it or not. So we can even color it, right? We can go and change the color and match this nice brown color also, right? And you can also do a Creative Cloud caption as well. Perhaps put your name because you are the designer here. So you can put Milorad Iftansky. And you can put artwork by and put your name right there. And believe you me, they do pick people from these kind of there's competitions, and they do pick people from Behance, the community, and they do every year or two they pick a winner, and they do give you a nice award, like a nice prize, and you do get compensated for this. It's pretty nice. I've never entered one myself, but I always encourage my students to do so. Okay, and you can definitely get your name better recognized with this stuff here, right? So let's say this is your final design that you're handing in to me. What you want to do is save the Illustrator file. So I'm just going to go through the last step because it's important that I cover this all in one class. This is what my goal was today, to cover everything that you need to deliver, right? Because you do have a few weeks left for this still. So the last thing I want to show you was properly packaging the project with fonts and sources. Now the fonts, most likely you're not going to use in your illustration, but you are going to use the fonts in the banner, which gives you that, um, you know, important necessity of knowing how to do this. So these are fonts, right? Just like you did with the logo and the word mark. For that one, you created outlines, so I wasn't too concerned. But for this to preserve, you have to, okay, include the fonts with your package. So it's like when you're giving this, it's like a website. When you build a website, you package it, you zip it, you put on your GitHub, or you deliver it. If it's like a WordPress, a database, you package it and you extract it, or you open it to the actual web hosting platform. And then your files are, basically accessible online, pointing the right DNS and the IP address and all that stuff. So same as this. You save it as an Illustrator file, okay? We'll call this Illustrator splash banner. Now always put your name, okay? So I'm going to put Milo Eftosky. I always put your name so I know whose project it is. The worst thing is when I get people call their work untitled. Please don't do that. Okay. This is how you properly save your file. I'll make another folder. Okay. I'm going to call this, actually, I won't make a folder because I want to show you how the folder works. But if you do, that's fine. Here we go. Project. I know you have your name pasted on everywhere, but it's important that you put your full name with the project affiliated so you know exactly where it is and you can keep track of it for your own purpose as well. So I made a Milo project folder. I'm calling this Illustrator Splash Banner. You don't have to put underscores and these other funny characters, the nomenclature. It's important that you name the files, but it's not like a website where you have to be, it's crucial to do like .htm or HTML or .jpg. For resource file, yeah. But for naming folders and files, Illustrator will do all the blanks for you. So you save it as an Illustrator file. So when I do that, when I receive this, I can see all the work you did in preview mode, right? First thing I do is I do this and I see how many objects you brought in. You have to see if you've used your drawing skills and how far you did it and things like that. So now you can go ahead and package it. So when you package this, it collects the image data that you have. Perhaps you have images that you traced. It collects all the font information, the colors, everything about what you did is collected when you package a job and you deliver to the printer. They want you to package it because then they might do a French translation or another language. So this way they can edit your fonts. This is why you package it. Mainly for the fonts and for the linked graphics that are affiliated with your final project. So as I package this right now, that's fine. It's going to create a little window for me. It's going to go on the desktop where I can pick a folder. It's going to copy the links, like the assets and the images for the illustration. It's going to copy the fonts and create a report as well. Okay, so all this stuff, I'm going to go ahead and hit the package button and it's going to be packaged all for me. So from beginning to end, this is how you deliver this main project that's due in 2 weeks from now, I guess. Yeah, you still have 2 weeks for this, but at the end of the halfway through the semester. All right, we'll do the Flying Piggy on Wednesday and we'll do some review stuff. But I think this lesson really captured everything we need to know in terms of doing these advanced illustrations. And that covered the last part, packaging the project. Let's show you what it looks like and why we did it. There it is right here. There's the folder that was packaged. So it gave you the fonts. So I used Myriad Pro, Bold, and Regular. It gave me a report. Okay, how big it is and when it was done, what color modes I'm using, and it produced the Illustrator file, which is what we created as a final masterpiece. And then what you do is you hand this in to me as a project, you right-click, you compress this, and this is what you hand in to me. Make sure your name's in it, and it should be all good. If these are linked files to what you're doing, it'll probably link them as well in that folder by default. If not, it'll leave them out as well. Okay, it's not really a big deal. I guess I turned off the link part. That's why this logo wasn't there. All right, so that wraps up today's lesson. Hope you guys had fun and you learned a lot from this. It was a nice action-packed lesson for today. I did cover a lot of important topics and advanced, you know, things of methods of completing more advanced illustrations. So I hope you found it insightful and it's going to help you going forward with the last project that's due. Keep in mind, Wednesday we have the lab. I'm going to see you in person and we're gonna, finish that UI kit that's due. That's one of your assignments. And pretty much that's your three main items in this class. And then um, with the next module with Photoshop, we'll do another three main assignment. Two will be assignments, and one will be like a big project. So we'll talk about that when the time comes. So for now, I'm gonna wish you all a good day, and I'll see you in class next week. I'm just gonna put on my camera here. All right. So nice to see everybody. I'll see you back on Wednesday or the next class when I see you. Okay. Bye for now and have a great week. Ciao.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.